It's election night in Malibu.
With a divided city council,
we're not having beers together on Friday night.
3 incumbents aren't backing down.
While new voices are in the race for one driving factor,
it is our lifeline. It's our only road, really.
Plans for a safer PCH motivates voters and candidates.
Things won't change if we don't change them.
Plus, education matters. We are tracking the bond measure to upgrade public schools.
The Santa Monica Malibu School Board race is already decided, but through the canyon,
we have 3 outstanding candidates.
But there are only 2 seats that will determine the future of phones in schools.
Across LA, a possible change for what justice looks like.
And voters weigh in about the progress being made against homelessness.
We pay too much in taxes anyway as it is. So I just got one thing to say. Do your damn jobs.
We are covering all your county measures.
From a crackdown on drug and theft crimes to climate action.
For every $1 we spend on fire prevention today, we save $5 in firefighting costs down the line.
There are 10 statewide props on the line.
Your representation at home and on the national scale.
Plus, the biggest race of all.
We are not going back.
And we will make America great again.
Decision 2024, the choice is yours. Welcome to this special edition of Newswaves on this historic night. I'm Mary Elizabeth.
And I am Gabrielle Salgado. It's just past 8 o'clock on the West Coast and the polls are now closed. Let's get right to Jenna Parcio, who is live at Malibu's main polling spot. Jenna, what did last minute voting look like?
Thank you, Gabrielle. The polls did just close. We did see a lot of last-minute voters coming in here, but the polls are now closed, and we could be seeing an entirely new city council panel after tonight. But there are 3 incumbents who are hoping that it does not change at all. Take a look.
May we have a roll call?
Councilmember Grisanti.
Here.
Councilmember Silverstein.
Present.
Councilmember Euring.
Here.
They have served on the city council, and they want 4 more years. Paul Grisanti and Steve Euring, who are seeking re-election, are united in their mission for public safety. Grisanti points to speeding on Pacific Coast Highway as his #1 concern.
We're not a thrill ride at Disneyland.
Grisanti, who has lived in Malibu since 1978, serves with the Volunteer Fire Brigade. He has seen the city devastated by wildfires.
We've actually lost houses in '93 and '07.
Grisanti says strategies are needed to mitigate these natural disasters.
So we're pretty fire prevention oriented.
Steve Euring, a retired executive officer of a company and internet startup who has lived in Malibu since 1994, shares Grisanti's focus on safety.
I'm focused on a couple things. One, public safety is #1.
Euring is also dedicated to preserving Malibu's unique landscape.
The residents' job is to protect and the natural environment that we have for present and future generations.
Euring says his ideas align with those of the 3rd incumbent, Bruce Silverstein. Silverstein is the only council member with a law background.
You know, a lot of what takes place at the council table or the council level are legal issues.
Although they share a common goal of keeping Malibu safe, it is clear that when the council meets here at City Hall, the leaders do not always see eye to eye.
Paul and I, we're not having beers together on Friday night.
Grisanti specifically points out bad decisions his challengers have made for the city's development and planning.
2 of my opponents appointed people who are to sit on the planning commission who are basically against anybody doing anything.
And now they are each running on their records for another term.
And that I would use my 46 years of experience in Malibu to try and avoid leading us down a path that's been trod many times before and has never worked.
Ignore the words, take a look at their actions, and when you do that, I think you'll vote for me.
I am now joined with 2 poll workers. Tell me a little bit, Annette, about how busy the polls were today on Election Day.
Extremely busy. We opened up the polls at 7. We ended the polls at 8. It was consistent. Every second there was a voter. There was a line of less than 50 people. We were pretty good in that area, but it's been consistent all day long. We took like small breaks, but we worked. And we took breaks and we worked and we took more breaks. However, it's extremely, and when I say extremely busy, it was busy.
Thank you so much. It sounds like you guys were very hard at work. So tell me, Stephanie, how was the working experience?
Very nice because we liked the fast pace and the excitement in the room. It seemed like there was a lot of energy. And actually, we had more Pepperdine students than anticipated. I even asked if they were recruiting students and encouraging them to come here and vote. And they said, no, we're self-motivated. We really wanted to vote. And several of the students and other people took pictures in front of the exit sign, and they were pointing to their voting sticker that I voted, and very excited. And we had a lot of spirit in the room because as the new voters got their sticker, we as a group would cheer them on. It was a really special time. Yeah, we had just a nice spirit, so they felt encouraged. And it's so neat to see young people voting because they're going to be kind of leading the way for elections going to the future. So I was pleasantly surprised.
So amazing to hear that so many Pepperdine students were involved. Well, I really thank you guys for your commitment to working at the polls today. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And we do have two challengers that are facing the newcomer, or there are two newcomers that are facing the incumbents in the city council election. They have built their campaign around PCH safety, and Claire is live on PCH and Webway to tell us how these newcomers are planning to change the city of Malibu. Claire?
Thank you, Jenna. Yes, there are two newcomers running for city council in this election. Halen Conrad and Channing Frickman are focused on improving the safety of Pacific Coast Highway in hopes of decreasing the lives lost on this road.
Newcomers Halen Conrad and Channing Frickman are focused on one issue: Pacific Coast Highway. Conrad has lived in Malibu for 17 years, and her son is about to start driving. She says after her son's close friend was involved in a deadly crash on July 4th of this year, her concerns of the dangers of PCH became personal.
It's like a weekly or a monthly or a bi-monthly thing.
Conrad supports efforts to reimagine the flow and speed of the highway.
I believe that it's time to pick a lane and really rethink the way PCH operates, if it's maybe a boulevard.
Frickman, a pediatrician and Malibu resident of 10 years, has also experienced the dangers of PCH. Despite being on a crosswalk, Frickman was struck by a car in 2020 as a pedestrian at the intersection of Trengus Canyon Road and PCH. She suffered a traumatic brain injury and made a full recovery this year.
That is my mission. That is why I have entered this campaign season.
This past July, a car struck and injured her husband while he was cycling on the highway. These personal encounters with PCH, along with her medical career, have made the highway the most important part of her campaign.
That is the most important role.
Frickman says her faith also influenced her decision to run for city council and work to prevent future accidents.
The Lord just put on my heart, that can't be another young person or member of our community or tourist.
Conrad and Frickman both describe PCH as a lifeline, connecting homes, medical facilities, and small businesses along the coast.
It is our lifeline. It's our only road, really.
The lifeline with PCH, that's the artery, that's the main way in and out.
But these newcomers to the city council race know it's time to fix the lifeline.
Things won't change if we don't change them.
I have to use my voice and my breath to protect and serve.
With both candidates having personal ties to the tragedies of this highway and the 61 lives taken since 2010, increasing safety is their #1 priority. Gabrielle and Mary, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Jenna and Claire. We will be continuing to check in with the Malibu City Council candidates throughout the night. From local to the presidential race,
Nina is here with how former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris spent their days pushing for every vote they can get.
Thank you, Mary. As the votes came rolling in, the candidates made their final moves. Here's the latest on what they did and where they went on this historic election day.
Regrets, you always have regrets. I can't think of any, to be honest, to use her expression. I can't think of any. Look, I ran a great campaign.
We, the people, have the power to shape our future, and that we can confront any challenge we face when we do it together.
Their campaigning is done. Now, both candidates are hosting watch parties as they await results. Harris said it is her tradition to have dinner with her family on election night. She is hosting her watch party at Howard University, her alma mater, in Washington, D.C. Earlier today, Harris made a visit to a phone bank hosted by the Democratic National Committee. While there, she personally thanked those working as well as made some phone calls herself.
And I thank you because I'm sure you got a lot of other things you could be doing.
Trump hosted a dinner at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. The dinner was for Trump's friends and donors, including Elon Musk, the owner of X, formerly known as Twitter. Vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance arrived in Florida this morning with his family. Tim Walz took today to fly to Pennsylvania, a key battleground state, with his family and urged diner goers to vote today.
Privilege that we've seen of being free people and trying to be part of a system, a democracy where voices matter and every voice matters.
Other than that, each candidate took to their social media accounts to urge voters to visit the polls today for one final push. As the polls continue to close across the country, we will continue to provide live updates on results throughout the night. But for now, back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Nina. Who will control the Congress? All 435 seats are up for re-election in the House of Representatives. California is a key congressional background, and at least as swing districts are. But the district representing Malibu and Calabasas, District 32, there won't likely be a change. Incumbent and Democrat Brad Sherman is being challenged by Republican challenger Larry Thompson, who took office in 2022 and is favored to win. Sherman ran his campaign focusing on the working family, environmental protection, and the protection of Social Security and Medicare, which are all policies he focused on in his past term. The Republican Party currently controls the U.S. House, where 218 seats are needed for a majority.
In the U.S. Senate race, it's Adam Schiff versus Steve Garvey. And breaking news coming from the New York Times and the Associated Press, the race is over. Schiff takes the win over Garvey. Schiff and Garvey were looking to take Senator LaPonza Butler's seat, and polls have consistently shown Schiff as he was likely to win by a hefty margin tonight.
20 seats are up for re-election in the California State Senate. District 27, which includes Malibu and Calabasas, is one of the seats up for grabs. Incumbent Henry Stern has served as District 27's representative for 8 years and is looking to add a final 4 years under his belt. Lucy Volotsky is challenging Stern and is focusing her campaign around faith, family, and freedom, standing against illegal immigration and open borders. Stern, who was first elected in 2016, is favored to win tonight. Raised in Malibu, Stern's campaign centers around affordable housing for the homeless and climate change.
Justice might look a little different in LA County after tonight. The current Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon is up for re-election against defense attorney Nathan Hochman. Gascon has held the seat since 2020. His challenger is a criminal defense attorney and a former federal prosecutor. If Hochman wins, he says he plans on reversing some of Gascon's most controversial lenient crime policies. Pre-election polls lean towards Hochman.
In Los Angeles County, the measure on the ballot getting the most attention is Measure A, a sales tax hike to fund housing and homeless services.
Danae Pitts talked to Malibu City leaders and business owners who say no one should pay more for homelessness until there is more accountability.
County Measure A is giving voters in Los Angeles a chance to express their opinions on the progress being made on homelessness. In Malibu, local officials, including City Council member Paul Grisanti, say they would like to see more effective solutions before spending more money.
I think that we need a better process before we throw more money at the problem.
The measure will repeal the county's quarter-cent sales tax and replace it with a half-cent sales tax to fund homelessness efforts. But Grisanti says current transitional housing projects are too expensive.
they can't build anything for less than $800,000 a bed. That's ridiculous.
I'm currently standing in a local grocery store where under Measure A, every time you make a grocery trip, a half-cent sales tax will be added to your purchase. Opposers of the measure say that this will impact those already struggling financially. And that matters to local business owners like Gene Arnold.
We pay too much in taxes anyway as it is. So I just got one thing to say. Do your damn jobs.
Arnold, who has owned the Vitamin Barn for more than 30 years, is against giving more money until there is more accountability.
I don't think they truly understand how to handle the homeless situation. And we've given through the state billions and billions of dollars that they can't even account for. So,
supporters of the measure, including nonprofits that provide homeless services like the People Concern, argue that Measure A includes more oversight to ensure resources are effectively used.
Measure A requires 5 legally required goals that have to be met.
Astor also warns that a no on Measure A in November could mean an even greater homelessness crisis for Los Angeles County.
Over 49,000 people would lose their housing and their services. And so it's estimated that homelessness would increase by 28%.
Whether voters approve or reject Measure A, one fact remains undeniable.
It touches us all. It touches every single person.
Danae Pitts, Newswaves 32.
Homelessness has decreased in Malibu since 2020 from 220 to 79. County Measure A also funds for more affordable housing.
LA County has 2 other measures on the ballot, E and G. Voters in cities like Malibu that contract with Los Angeles County Fire for protection are voting on Measure E. The measure would impose a tax of 6 cents per square foot on most properties in the district to raise an estimated $150 million a year to improve the county fire department. Currently, the fire department gets no money from the county's general fund. Opponents say the county needs to provide the fire funding instead of more taxes. The LAFD has 4 fire stations in the Malibu area.
County Measure G could shake up LA County leadership and expand representation for millions of residents. Measure G aims to expand the County Board of Supervisors from 5 to 9 members and make the county CEO an elected position. Supervisors Lindsay Horvath and Janice Hahn are leading the effort, arguing that the county charter hasn't been updated in over a century. With a population of nearly 10 million, they say 5 supervisors can't meet the demand. Supervisor Hilda Solis also supports Measure G, but opponents question if these changes can be implemented without costing taxpayers more money. Phew, and we are just getting started. From this election night, from getting tougher on crime and increasing minimum wage.
We have a closer look at all 10 statewide props that could change the future for Californians.
My goal is to have everyone love their ideology a little less and love someone else's ideology a little more.
And Navigating Your Ideology in a Polarized America, a book that could help you find peace in your politics. Don't go away, there's much more to come. Decision 2024, the choice is yours.
Welcome back to Decision 2024. Across California, voters are deciding more than just who they want to see in office.
There are 10 state props. Proposition 4 will help California invest in the growing impacts of climate change. Nora Moriarty is live in the newsroom to explain how in Malibu it could improve the city's wildfire resilience. Nora?
Wildfire needs are massive in the Santa Monica Mountains.
Senator Ben Allen says Prop 4 will put nearly $2 billion towards preparing firefighters for the increasing threat of wildfires. Overall, the ballot measure, authored by Allen, will provide $10 billion for funding climate solutions projects.
The investments that we put into this bond today are helping make their lives easier off into the future.
The investment will cost taxpayers $400 million annually for the next 40 years. But Allen says in the case of wildfires, prevention is cheaper than relief.
For every $1 we spend on fire prevention today, we save $5 in firefighting costs down the line.
Malibu is so prone to wildfires largely due to dry brush. When dried out, this vegetation is a catalyst for wildfires. If passed, Proposition 4 would put money towards removing it or restoring it. Keegan Gibbs, the director of operations for Malibu's Community Fire Brigade, is on the front line, helping protect the city from wildfires.
Fires are inevitable, but home wildfire destruction doesn't have to be.
The goal of the fire brigade is to make Malibu fire resilient, specifically create fire resilient homes.
We generally think of wildfires as disasters when the homes burn.
The work of Gibbs and other citizen members of the brigade is all volunteer, but it requires expensive equipment and gear.
Fire service is a really expensive thing.
Gibbs says more funding is always helpful for the brigade, and Prop 4 could make that happen. But he says funding must be distributed fairly.
Making sure that that money is allocated proportionally.
Gibbs says priority should be put on home hardening, the process of making a home fire resilient.
If we've got $2 billion to spend on fire stuff, we should be spending half of that on home hardening.
Senator Allen says while the money is not free, it is vital for the future.
Making us better prepared to deal with all the wildfire challenges that we know are to come.
Nora Moriarty, Newswaves 32.
We apologize for that technical difficulty, but Prop 4 is very timely. Malibu is facing a red flag warning starting at 4 a.m. for high winds and dry conditions. Gabrielle, Mary, back to you.
Thank you, Nora. Proposition 36 is one of the more controversial measures on California's ballot. It aims to tighten penalties for some drug and theft crimes.
Mackenzie Krause has reaction from local Malibu business owners and workers who support the measure and say it will improve their safety.
There's not much done about thievery here.
Theft is a concern for retail employees in Malibu, like Sasha Rondell.
I think that it has gotten a lot worse in the last couple of years.
Rondell blames some of the increase in thefts on a lack of punishment.
All that stuff, it's too easy for people to kind of get away with.
In 2014, voters in California passed Prop 47, which among other things made stealing items worth $950 or less a misdemeanor.
I think there should definitely be a harsher punishment.
Prop 36 seeks to undo some of the punishment reductions in Prop 47, which some employees, like Aloha retail sales associate Kai Pono, believe would help small businesses feel safer.
It would just, I guess in a sense, make Aloha feel a little more secure.
The measure returns some current retail theft misdemeanors back into felonies.
Under Prop 36, theft would become a felony if a person has 2 or more past convictions, helping to support the livelihood of small business owners, like those at Encore.
When people steal or shoplift in any capacity, it really takes a lot away from the store owners.
If Prop 36 passes, repeat theft offenders and people who commit crimes in groups could spend up to 3 years in county jail or state prison. Encore sales associate Bridget Morse believes harsher penalties are needed to deter crime.
If we really enforced harsher laws or regulations against that, I think more people would be nervous to shoplift.
Malibu business owners are not the only ones in favor of harsher penalties. According to a Berkeley Institute of Governmental Studies poll, 60% of California voters favor this initiative.
Stealing is such an invasion of privacy, invasion of your space, invasion of a store, invasion of whatever it is, that I think that people need to have a consequence.
Mackenzie Krause, Newswaves 32.
Currently, there are 73.8% yes votes and 26.3% no votes on Prop 36. For Prop 4, there are 55.1% yes votes and 72.36% no votes. Only 3% of the votes have been officially counted.
There are 8 other props being decided in California.
Starting with Prop 2, this prop centers around school improvements and would provide $10 billion over the next 35 years to repair and upgrade public schools and community colleges.
Prop 3 would change the wording in California's Constitution regarding same-sex marriage. Currently, the Constitution states that marriage is between a man and a woman. A yes vote would change the language to match the federal Constitution.
Cities like Malibu support Prop 5, which would make it easier for them to borrow money to help with affordable housing by lowering the voter threshold.
Prop 6 would end forced labor behind bars. Currently, California can force prisoners to do work that the states need done. Prop 6 would end that, making the work voluntary.
Minimum wage jobs, like many healthcare jobs, would increase from $16 to $18 with Prop 32. Opponents say a standard minimum wage could lead to layoffs.
Prop 33 would make it so rent control can be applied to any housing. Currently, cities and counties can only impose rent control on apartments and houses built before 1995.
Prop 34 would require healthcare providers to spend 98% of their drug sale revenue on direct patient care. If they do not, they could risk losing their license and tax-exempt status.
Prop 35 ensures that taxes that help pay for Medicare actually go to recipients to repay doctors and hospitals. Doctors and hospitals say the legislature hasn't been directly giving all of the tax money to the program.
Still ahead on this special election night edition of Newswaves.
I think just having devices on school campuses makes it a lot more of a distracting environment for kids.
2 seats are up for election on the Las Virgenes Unified School District Board of Education. A dividing issue is how to handle phones in schools. The choice will determine if students keep scrolling or hit pause on the distractions inside the classroom.
Your votes do matter. All of you young folks, it's really up to you.
And words of wisdom from experienced voters. Their response to the current divided state of politics and how they are encouraging younger voters to stay engaged.
SMM-USD has 2 measures on the ballot. Their goals are to upgrade school facilities and improve school safety and security. Measure MM is for Malibu schools. The big project on the list for Malibu are a new middle school building and gymnasium, a new performing arts center, and a career tech facility and energy infrastructure. Measure QS is tailored to Santa Monica. If passed, Santa Monica schools look to implement multiple improvement projects, including a new library at Roosevelt Elementary and a new STEM building at John Adams Middle.
In the SMUSD Board of Education race, the seats are already filled. The 3 incumbents seeking re-election, John Keene, Maria Leon Vasquez, and Jennifer Smith, are guaranteed to regain their positions. The lone challenger in the race dropped out in mid-September, the week after the ballots were already finalized. Stacey Rouse, the only Malibu resident currently on the board, says Christine Falaguera didn't understand how tight the current board is.
My understanding is she ended up withdrawing because she realized, oh, this is a lot more organized and set than I realized.
Rouse, who will continue to serve on the board through 2026, says her priority is improving communication between leaders and leaving a positive impact on kids in the district. However, Malibu parents we talked to outside Webster Elementary said they are not invested in the joint SMM-USD. They are instead looking forward to having a school district of their own.
2 seats are up for grabs on the Las Virgenes Unified School District Board. 3 candidates are debating issues ranging from improving test scores to addressing the use of phones during school hours. Sahana Patel spoke with the candidates to find out how the challengers hope to bring change.
So, we have 3 outstanding candidates.
But only 2 seats are available for the Las Virgenes Unified School District Board. Linda Mangus, who has held a seat on the board since 2015,
as the only incumbent running,
will run against 2 new candidates. Mangus is motivated to maintain the district's current reputation.
I'm excited about the district. I think it's a destination district, and I want to keep it that way.
Newcomer Alan Lazar, whose children currently attend LVUSD schools, says that is a key reason why he decided to run.
It's good to have different perspectives, but we definitely needed more current parents on the board.
Challenger Leslie Kraut, whose children graduated from the district, says she brings a wider perspective.
What's happening in our school district and what happens with the kids as they move from kindergarten, elementary, middle school.
One of the key points of debate between these 3 candidates are how these devices are going to be used on the inside of school grounds. Currently, devices are allowed district-wide. However, one Lupin Hill Elementary parent says she doesn't find them necessary.
I think just having devices on school campuses makes it a lot more of a distracting environment for kids.
Kraut agrees. She believes phones are the cause of the lower test scores in the district.
Just being distracted.
Lazar believes a district phone ban would also take the pressure off of parents.
This would allow parents to hold off on getting them phones.
But Mangus believes phones at school may be necessary for certain students.
Sometimes parents are divorced, and so they use cell phones to kind of communicate.
Some candidates also say that social media is a major contributor to mental health challenges among students. Other top issues for the Las Virgenes School District include improving district-wide communication and increasing test scores. Sahana Patel, Newswaves 32.
Lazar was endorsed by all of the current LVUSD board members.